Today's threat landscape is a perfect storm of destructive malware, mass credential theft, and attackers abusing the very tools defenders trust most. We've got a new data wiper hammering critical infrastructure in Venezuela, over 1,300 SharePoint servers still exposed to an actively exploited zero-day, and attackers turning Microsoft Defender itself into part of the attack chain. And if that wasn't enough, fake crypto wallet apps slipped into Apple's App Store while AI-assisted exploitation campaigns quietly harvested credentials from hundreds of targets. Welcome to Threatopia, where we break down real cyber threats, breaches, and the security patterns that actually matter. This is the cybersecurity briefing you can't afford to miss. Streaming from YouTube and all your favorite podcast platforms, I'm your host, Mike Kramer. I help security leaders build resilient security operations and modernize their defenses to reduce real-world cyber risk without the headaches. Stay with us to see why today's biggest lessons might be that valid credentials and trusted platforms are now doing more damage than classic malware alone. Some upcoming events: we have Google Cloud Next, running right now through April 24th at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. It focuses on cloud, AI, infrastructure, and enterprise security innovation across modern digital platforms. Black Hat USA runs August 1st through August 6th at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, and it's centered on advanced security research, offensive and defensive tradecraft, hands-on training, and some of the most technical security briefings of the year. DEF CON 34 runs August 6th through August 9th in Las Vegas at the Las Vegas Convention Center, and it is the iconic hacker gathering focused on deep technical experimentation, vulnerability research, privacy, and hands-on community-driven security culture. Splunk Conf 26 runs September 14th through September 17th at the Colorado Convention Center in Denver this year. It focuses on security operations, observability, threat detection, data analytics, and hands-on learning for Splunk practitioners and security leaders. Today's practical security tip is simple: stop trusting app stores blindly, especially for anything involving money. If you use cryptocurrency wallets, password managers, or banking apps, do not search the store and assume the top result is safe. Go to the vendor's official website first, click their official download link, and then verify the publisher name inside the app store before you install anything. That one extra step can save you from the exact kind of fake wallet campaign that we're covering today, where a trusted platform still delivered malicious software to real users. All right, we got 16 stories to cover today. Here are the most important cybersecurity developments. A new data wiping malware called Lotus hit Venezuelan energy and utility organizations in a destructive campaign by an unknown threat actor. Victims suffered unrecoverable system damage after physical drives were overwritten, files were deleted, and recovery options were removed. The attackers disabled defenses and accounts before deploying the wiper to maximize destruction. 3 former ransomware negotiators, Angelo Martino, Ryan Clifford Goldberg, and Kevin Tyler Martin, all pleaded guilty for participating in Black Cat ransomware attacks against U.S. organizations. Their actions helped drive multi-million-dollar ransom payments and exposed sensitive victim information from financial firms and nonprofits. They used insider knowledge from negotiations to support extortion and pressure victims with threats to leak stolen data. CISA is urging rapid patching after a new Cisco Catalyst sd-wan manager flaw, CVE 2026-20133, was flagged as actively exploited by an unknown threat actor. Federal agencies were ordered to secure affected systems within 4 days because the flaw can expose sensitive information. The attack works by exploiting insufficient file system access restrictions in a public-facing system. An unknown threat actor placed 26 malicious fake cryptocurrency wallet apps on Apple's App Store in a campaign called Fake Wallet. The campaign primarily targeted users in China, but had potential global impact and led to unrecoverable crypto theft. The apps used typo squatting, fake branding, and phishing pages to steal wallet recovery phrases and drain assets. Spanish police shut down what authorities described as the world's largest Spanish-language Manga piracy platform in an operation against an unknown threat actor. The platform had operated since 2014, served millions of users, generated over $4.7 million in ad revenue, and led to 4 arrests plus the seizure of over $470,000 in cryptocurrency. The scheme centered on large-scale unauthorized distribution of copyrighted material rather than a technically described intrusion. A growing ecosystem known as Caller as a Service, or CAS, is turning scam calls into highly organized criminal business model run by unknown threat actors. These operations are causing significant financial and emotional harm, especially to vulnerable populations. The attackers use structured roles, scripted impersonation, and real-time supervision to improve the efficiency of social engineering over the phone. A self-spreading supply chain attack is hitting the NPM ecosystem and stealing developer credentials in a campaign attributed to an unknown threat actor. Multiple packages from Namastex Labs were affected, and the malware can steal tokens, API keys, cloud credentials, and crypto wallet data while also crossing into PyPI. That's the Python PI. The malicious code steals secrets from environment files and then injects itself into every package a compromised token can publish. More than 1,300 Microsoft SharePoint servers remain unpatched against an actively exploited zero-day spoofing vulnerability CVE 2026-32201 being used by an unknown threat actor. The exposure could let attackers view and modify sensitive information, and federal agencies have been ordered to patch within 2 weeks. The flaw is being exploited as a network spoofing issue that requires no user interaction. Mustang Panda is using a new Lotus Lite malware variant in campaigns targeting Indian banks and South Korean policy organizations. The impact is ongoing espionage risk, with victims facing possible sensitive data theft and long-term compromise. The campaign starts with spear phishing emails carrying malicious CHM files, then it uses DLL sideloading to establish a backdoor over HTTPS. AI agents embedded in SaaS tools are emerging as a major security blind spot that attackers can abuse even without a named threat actor in this report. The risk is broad unauthorized access to sensitive files, data leaks, and business process manipulation because many agents run with excessive permissions and little oversight. The attack path relies on compromised OAuth-backed agents or overly permissive integrations that inherit trusted access inside business systems. NIST is scaling back CVE enrichment, creating a new challenge for cyber teams, even though this is not a direct attack story. The impact is that organizations may have less detailed national vulnerability database context and could miss important exposures or delay prioritization. The operational issue is reduced vulnerability metadata, forcing teams to rely more heavily on vendor advisories and alternative enrichment sources. Attackers are exploiting a critical Bomgar remote support vulnerability CVE 2026-1731 to drive a supply chain ransomware surge against MSPs and their downstream clients. The attacks have affected numerous organizations and included Lockbit ransomware plus additional remote management tools for persistence. The intrusion starts with remote code execution against Bomgar, then expands through new admin accounts, lateral movement, and rogue RMM deployments like AnyDesk and Atera. Attackers are actively using 3 public exploits called Blue Hammer, Red Sun, and Undefend to hijack Microsoft Defender and weaken protections. 2 of the exploits remain unpatched, and victims can face privilege escalation, disabled protections, and deeper attack persistence after initial access. The attackers first compromise VPN accounts without multi-factor authentication, and then abuse Defender's privileged workflows to gain system access or impair defenses. Google patched a critical prompt injection flaw in its anti-gravity agentic IDE after researchers found it could enable full system compromise. Even the IDE's most restrictive settings could be bypassed, potentially leading to arbitrary code execution and data loss. The flaw came from insufficient sanitization in the Find by Name tool, allowing attackers to inject commands before security controls were applied. Researchers found that WhatsApp leaks metadata that can let strangers infer when users are online and what devices they use, and the report attributes no specific threat actor. The exposure can enable targeted phishing, surveillance, and device fingerprinting without the victim being alerted. Attackers can silently ping users, add them to contact lists, and analyze responses to map activity patterns and device types. An AI-assisted exploitation campaign run by Bon Jovi Goes Hard, also known as, I did not see that coming. An AI-assisted exploitation campaign, I can't do it, run by Bon Jovi Goes Hard, also known as Dr. Tube, used the BISA scanner and the React to Shell to compromise more than 900 targets. The operator harvested tens of thousands of credentials and sensitive records, focusing on finance, cryptocurrency, and retail organizations. The campaign exploited CVE 2025-55182 in public-facing apps, pulled secrets from exposed environment files, and used Telegram bots for orchestration and alerting. Bon Jovi Goes Hard. That brings us to today's analysis. So the biggest pattern across today's report is that trust has become one of the most abused attack surfaces in cybersecurity. We see that in fake wallet apps on Apple's App Store, in the self-spreading NPM compromise, in Bomgar-based downstream ransomware, and in the discussion around AI agents embedded in SaaS tools. In MITRE attack terms, this maps closely to supply chain compromise, where attackers poison a trusted distribution channel, and also to valid accounts where they inherit legitimate access instead of breaking in the old-fashioned way. That matters because most organizations still build defenses around malware signatures and obvious exploit chains, but increasingly the attacker is walking through the front door using a trusted package, a trusted OAuth token, a trusted remote management platform, or a trusted marketplace listing. Defenders need to respond by treating trust as conditional, not permanent. Verify software publishers, pin dependencies, rotate secrets aggressively after any build pipeline anomaly, review SaaS and AI agent permissions like their privileged service accounts, and alert on unusual behavior from known good tools that suddenly start acting like threat actors. The second major pattern is that credentials and identity remain the real prize. The NPM campaign is stealing tokens and cloud secrets. The BISA operation harvested massive volumes of credentials and business records. The Windows Defender abuse began with compromised VPN accounts lacking multi-factor authentication. Even the AI agent story is really an identity story because those agents often hold valid OAuth tokens with broad access. From a MITRE perspective, that's unsecured credentials, good old valid accounts, and in practice, a growing shift towards post-compromise privilege inheritance rather than noisy brute force. This is why credential hygiene is no longer just an IAM issue, it's a business resilience issue. If you're not moving secrets out of the .env files, enforcing MFA on every remote access path, tightening OAuth scopes and monitoring for impossible travel or unusual token use, and shortening token lifetimes where possible, you're giving attackers reusable access that scales across environments faster than most IR teams can contain it. The third theme is speed and asymmetry in modern exploitation. We've got active exploitation of Cisco SD-WAN, more than 1,300 exposed SharePoint servers, a critical Bomgar flaw driving supply chain ransomware, public proof of concept abuse against Microsoft Defender, and a prompt injection bug in a modern agentic IDE that could lead to full compromise. This reflects a very brutal reality. Attackers are compressing the time between disclosure, weaponization, and operational abuse. MITRE calls this exploit public-facing application, but what matters in plain English is that internet-facing software is still the shortest path to a breach, and public proof of concept code makes that window even smaller. The defensive answer is not just to patch faster, even though patching matters. It means to inventory every internet-facing system, know exactly what systems are exposed before a CV hits the news, apply emergency patch tiers for edge systems, monitor for anomalous admin creation and unexpected RMM deployment, and maintain offline backups because sometimes the endgame is not ransomware negotiation at all, it's irreversible destruction like the Lotus wiper in Venezuela. And that brings us to today's security concept, which is DLL side loading. This is a technique where attackers place a malicious DLL, which is a Windows library file, next to a legitimate application that will automatically load it because of how Windows searches for dependencies. To the user and sometimes even to the security stack, the trusted program looks normal, but it ends up launching attacker-controlled code. That's exactly why it remains popular in espionage campaigns like the Mustang Panda Lotus Light story, because it blends malicious behavior into legitimate software execution. For defenders, the best response is to watch for unexpected DLL loads, unsigned libraries in trusted application folders, and suspicious parent-child process relationships around known legitimate binaries. The common thread today is that attackers are getting faster, quieter, and far more willing to weaponize trust itself. From app stores and developer ecosystems to security products and AI-powered business tools. If defenders keep treating trusted software, valid credentials, and integrated platforms as inherently safe, the next breach is going to look less like a hack and more like normal business activity until it's far too late. If you found this briefing valuable, please like the show because it really helps us out. Thanks for listening to Threatopia and stay safe out there.